Good morning. Welcome to worship at First Unitarian Church. I'm so glad to see you here today. Welcome to those joining us online. However you get here, we're glad that you get here. So thank you for being here. I have a few announcements as we begin our service today. First, I know you all want to hear the results from our auction, and I have them. And I'll tell you right after I tell you this. If you had fun at the auction, we want you to have fun again by checking out the remaining things which are still for sale, and they're available in Elliott Hall after worship. There are some beautiful quilts and artwork. There are tickets to dinners, wonderful stuff. And we want you to have a chance to bid on those items and take them home with you. We also want you to know that if you bought something or won something at the auction, it's here and it's available for you, so be sure and pick it up after service. At the auction table, where anyone will be glad to tell you that we made our goal. Woo! Yeah. We rolled into this morning with 79,565. Somebody put us over the top this morning, so we hit 80,000. Isn't that fantastic? Yeah. And thanks once again to the auction team who worked so hard to make it happen, and to all of you who contributed things to make the auction a success. Now let me go in calendar order. This Saturday, November 12th, that starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, we will have our Beyond Categorical Thinking workshop. This is a workshop that is open to the whole church community, and we really want every person to attend. It's going to be facilitated by specialists from the Unitarian Universalist Association. And it's to help us understand how to be more welcoming to our new senior minister when they get here, and to become a more equitable and justice-seeking congregation. It's a really important part of the search process, and we really want everyone to participate. It's on Zoom, so you don't even have to get out of your jammies. Comb your hair, though. We'll see you on video. All right, then on next Sunday, will be our new member ceremony. If you would like to participate in the ceremony, you've got another few days to email me and let me know. It's going to be at 9 and 11. You can tell me, but I also need an email so I don't forget anybody, because I absolutely will. It's happened before. So please email me if you'd like to join. On the 24th, that's Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, 1 o'clock, our Compassion in Action team is hosting a Thanksgiving potluck dinner for anybody in our community who doesn't have any place to go, who doesn't have family or friends in town. We don't want you to be alone on Thanksgiving. So bring a dish and join us here in our fellowship hall. If you'd like to let us know you're coming and let us know what you're bringing, that might help with the planning. So please see Christine at the table. I think she's still over there. There'll be somebody there at the table. You can also take this opportunity, anybody, to sign up for our Caring Network. This is an email list where we let people know when somebody's in trouble, had surgery, bereaved, whatever, and we can organize our meals, giving people rides to the doctor, and so on. So please sign up there. All right. That's all the stuff that's coming up. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Today is our monthly intergenerational service, so we're delighted to see all of our young folks here in the church building with us. As always, we have provided some supplies for a little activity later. Don't touch them. They're fine right where they are. We will tell you what to do with them. Now listen, parents especially, we're trusting you today. As Uncle Ben told Peter Parker, with great power comes great responsibility. In these envelopes are permanent markers. They are not for writing on ourselves or other people or our chapel. They are just for writing on stickers. So, adults, if you will please supervise that process, we appreciate it. And now, let us settle down into the work of worship together. Let us breathe accepting the quality of our breath, however it comes to us, deep and full, shallow and anxious, doesn't matter. Every breath is life. We accept each one as a gift, however imperfect. As we begin, I invite you to think of one wish for our democracy, the best wish you can imagine. A wish that transcends any particular election. That is, I'm not inviting you to wish any candidate a good day or a bad day. That's not what this is about. It should be a wish based on a value that you hold. Freedom, justice, love. A wish you could express in 3 or 4 words. Maybe even a prayer for our democracy. Here's mine. There's only us. There's only us. Hold on to this thought and keep it turning over in your mind as we go through the service. We light our chalice today with these words by the Reverend Raphael Warnock. A vote is a kind of prayer about the kind of world you want to live in. And now I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and let the junior singers lead you. Our opening hymn is number 346.
So the junior singers are going to sing the first 2 verses. You guys join us on, what is it? Rain. The rain verse, right?
When I arrived in the US for the first time 30 years ago this week, I threw up. It was not out of disgust, but because a rocky, dizzying landing at Anchorage International Airport had proved too rough for me, and I made full use of the brace position and the air sickness bag. My parents and I were on our way to New York City on a chilly November day, just after Bill Clinton, or in my 8-year-old mind, the dude who played saxophone on TV, was elected president. My father, a foreign service officer for Taiwan, had been assigned a 4-year term in New York, and my parents and I were about to spend years away from our family and friends. I was hoping to make friends at a new school, but in a language that I did not yet know, in a country where I had never lived, where I had never celebrated a birthday. Nervous and already nauseous, I stayed close to my parents and clung to a large, plump, stuffed giraffe, my carry-on item, and a farewell present from my teacher and classmates in Taipei. These were all the familiar bearings that I had left. Having no idea what awaited me, I got off the plane in an awful state, and with several more hours of flying to go, we were not there yet. During the layover, an old woman approached me in the airport's waiting lounge. I don't remember what she looked like or what she said to me in a low, comforting voice. Sensing that a young boy needed some cheering up, she leaned forward, looked into my bleary eyes, smiled, and offered me a small button, the size of a quarter, and with a cartoon moose on it. The moose was wearing a tuxedo, a red bow tie, and a tiny top hat between his antlers, and he danced cheerfully while holding a baton. I could not read the words at the button's edge, but I took delight in the jolly-looking moose, so I smiled back and managed a thank you, using one of the few English phrases that I knew. As I think back, so much was left unsaid in that fleeting but memorable encounter, my first with an American, and a stranger at that. The woman's gesture came from a place of thoughtfulness and sympathy, reaching out to a child who was transiting through an unfamiliar country, facing life in an unknown language, and feeling down. With instinctive kindness, she saw me and understood, and that button forged a bond of trust. This trust does not grow out of nowhere. It is a telling mark of community, connected, if not by common culture, then by a shared understanding of the need to offer kindness and comfort to those in distress. Community and connection were what allowed my family to trust and embrace the encounter. That someone in a different country, with a background and upbringing unknown to us, could see a distressed child, respond with a sense of closeness rather than distance, and honor that child's presence, honor my presence, by seeking to alleviate distress. It takes a community to sow the seeds that grow into such thoughtful acts, to keep cultivating the soil that nurtures and allows them to flourish. Trust elevates us. It is holy because it is exchanged and paid forward, ever widening in its reach. What has been extended to us, we are then able to extend to others, to build, renew, and regenerate community. 30 years ago, during an election month, I trusted this newfound American welcome with a moose who was wild about Anchorage, as I later learned to read. As another election looms, our tense, divided political climate makes me wonder how we maintain and renew our communities. I sense that the country is in transition, away from what I've known these 30 Novembers. I am an immigrant, and I cannot vote. All I can do is to trust fellow members of my community to vote, to make decisions that acknowledge and honor those who are vulnerable rather than reject and repress them. I hold out hope for decisions that foster trust by paying forward the refuge, security, and relief that one has known, whether with the blessing of justice or the balm of due dignity. In voting, there is an act of stewardship on behalf of the entire community. Familiar and strange, human and animal, lake and mountain, air, water, salt, and rock. Decades have passed, and I have kept the dancing moose button because I strive to put trust forward in our communities and let it elevate and amplify what we hold most dear. This week, it's up to you.
Our meditation today is a wisdom tale, a tale of 3 villages. There once were 3 travelers whose village was flooded. Together, they set out for higher ground to find a new home. As they journeyed, they reminisced in stories of their former home and their loved ones lost in the flood. As they crossed over mountains, they saw a sheltered, fertile valley beyond with a cluster of 3 small villages. One said, "This land looks a lot like home, but I'm a bit nervous about meeting new people." The second said, "We have become good friends. We know and trust each other, and we share tasks fairly." The third said, "Let's ask good questions at each village to help us find a new home." Over their fire that night, they came up with 2 questions. How does the village make decisions? And what happens when you don't agree? When they entered the first village, the villagers told them, "Oh, we have a powerful ruler who decides what's best for our village. The ruler's family has been in charge for many, many generations. If we have a disagreement, the ruler just decides for us." The travelers looked at each other with tight lips and then said, "Thank you," and continued on their journey. When they entered the second village, they asked, "How does your village make decisions?" The villagers responded, "We vote for a few people to represent all of us on the council. We vote for people who promise to make decisions that are best for us." Then the travelers asked, "What happens when you don't agree with what the council decides?" "Oh, sometimes we don't like at all what they decide. We have great arguments, and often families stop talking to one another, trading with one another, helping one another. But this is how we've always lived, so this is how we have to do it." The travelers looked at each other with disappointed eyes and then said, "Thank you and goodbye" to that village as well. As they trudged to the third village, they talked amongst themselves. One said, "That sounded good at first, but was it better than the village with the ruler? Another said, not really. Some people have a bigger say, and then it sounds like people are angry and unhappy with one another. The third said, after the others vote for them, the people on the council can do whatever they want until the next election. That's not a lot of accountability. In the third village, they soon found some villagers to ask about decision-making there. One villager smiled and said, come, we will show you. The villagers formed a large circle and invited the travelers to join them. A villager wearing a special necklace said, we welcome you into our circle. If you would like to stay, you must accept our agreements. Speak the truth, keep your promises, listen with an open heart, care and honor for this circle as part of the earth and sky. The travelers looked at each other with shiny eyes and then agreed in unison. Another villager explained, this is how we make important decisions, by listening to each other in turn under these agreements until a decision is made. This is also how we disagree, by listening to each other in turn. We can disagree strongly, sometimes even feel upset, and never really truly agree. That's okay, because we choose to remain in community together. We never lead with contempt or dismissal. We agree to disagree, but we disagree in respect and peace, with a willingness to continue to listen and stay in community with one another. The travelers smiled widely. They had found their new home.
Friends, now is the time that we've reserved for a show of generosity from our congregation. Our church is supported entirely by and depends upon the regular contributions of its members, including your time, your talent, and your treasure. So we invite you at this time to give generously. The usher will come around with a basket, but also you can use your cell phone with the QR code in the pew seat in front of you. And you can take this time to wish each other a very happy Sunday. Well, grown-ups, I reckon all of y'all have already voted, haven't you? Your ballots are in the mail and headed for the county clerk's office by now. Mine certainly is, and I even have my I voted sticker to prove it. Second best part of voting, right? After having a functioning democracy? Yeah, I love it. I love the I voted sticker. It's my gold star for being a good citizen, right? The only thing that could be better than an I voted sticker is a democracy sausage. Have y'all heard of this? In Australia, voting is required of all eligible adults, so there's always a good turnout on election day. All these voters turn up to schools and community halls and worship centers, and it's just too good of a fundraising opportunity to pass up. So it's become a trend in Australia to sell sausages to voters waiting in line or just emerging from the polls. I love this idea so much. We really ought to make it catch on here in the US. Just close your eyes for a moment and smell the sausage smell coming in. We'll have vegan sausages too. And we'll have sweets, and we'll have sodas, and we'll have music out on the plaza, and it'll just be a big party for democracy. Doesn't that sound so nice? Instead, we find ourselves 2 days before the midterms, full of dread and fear, having to ration our intake of news so we don't stress ourselves out. I know of people who've already planned to take the day off on Wednesday, either to decompress or to hide in bed. It's gotten to the point where every single election is being billed as the most important election of our lifetimes. One day that will be true, and we won't know until decades into the future, looking back at all these elections and their consequences. But please believe that democracy is not won or lost in a single day. Democracy is a practice. It requires our constant attention. And democracy is supported by many pillars, all of them load-bearing, not just voting and elections. Democracy is about literacy. It's about going to school and getting an education. It's about reading or listening to the news and knowing where to get good news that you can trust. Democracy depends upon public spaces and the right of conscience and free speech and dissent. There is no democracy without reasoned dissent. But more than anything else, democracy is about dialogue. Now, I know some of you will roll your eyes when you hear that. Dialogue, more talking. Isn't there already enough talking? How is more talking going to save our democracy? Yet that's exactly what historian Timothy Snyder suggests. His slim book on tyranny is a Bible for me. I go back to it again and again for advice on how to live in this country in these times. He offers 20 rules for being a citizen in times when fascism is on the rise, and talking to your neighbors is 2 of those 20 rules. He suggests that small talk rises above the level of politeness to become a pillar of democracy by maintaining trust and camaraderie with those around you, reminding them and ourselves that we're all in it together, just as Ruen-Chuan said earlier. Further, he says, for resistance to tyranny to succeed, 2 boundaries must be crossed. First, ideas about change must engage people of various backgrounds who do not agree about everything. Second, people must find themselves in places that are not their homes and among groups who were not previously their friends. Power wants your body softening in your chair and your emotions dissipating on the screen. Get outside. Put your body in unfamiliar places with unfamiliar people. Make new friends and march with them. Snyder is not suggesting that just any kind of talk is going to save democracy. We need dialogue that takes risks. It has to be persuasive. If we give up on the ability to persuade each other, we are asking to be ruled. If we give up on the ability to persuade each other, we're asking to be ruled. Author Anand Giridharadas has written about a phenomenon that has become widespread throughout our American culture, the write-off. He's talking about the way we size people up based on their political party or their religious affiliation, their ways of thinking, rather than seeing them as whole people with unique experiences. And when we encounter people who are different, who are in that other camp, we write them off. Giridharadas says that write-off culture is rooted in the assumption that differences of identity are unbridgeable, that people are too invested in their privileges and interests to change, that the failure to achieve change in the past predicts failure in the future, that people and their opinions are monolithic and strong rather than complicated and fragile. And therefore, the purpose of politics is to protect yourself from others, capital O, and galvanize your own instead of trying to reach across. Write-off culture is known by another word, contempt. Contempt is the feeling that another person is beneath your consideration, not worth your time. Family researchers John and Julie Gottman have identified contempt as the single strongest predictor of divorce, stronger than infidelity, money trouble, any other factor. Contempt arises from a position of moral superiority, the feeling that we're better than those people. And it leads to dehumanization, the idea that those people are not really people. It cuts us off from compassion, and we are all susceptible no matter which side of the aisle we vote from. There is no greater threat to freedom and peace than dehumanization. Giridharadas urges us that we must find another way. We cannot allow contempt and write-off culture to dominate our minds as individuals, nor the mind of the public. We must recommit to the belief that people can change. We will never build the groundswell that we need for real lasting change if we can't bring more people on board. And that means we have to believe that people can change. We have to. But one thing is for sure, polishing our shiny, perfect arguments and then using them to break people down won't change them. Giridharadas suggests that we actually cannot change anyone's mind. To really change someone's mind, that is to reach into their brain and pull out the bad ideas and put in our own good ideas, already has a name: manipulation. Most people resist that, don't we? We know when we're being manipulated and we don't like it. Our natural response is to become defensive, to repeat some counter-argument we heard on the news or a catchphrase from social media, and not really listen to the other person. We all do this. It's not inherent to any particular political or religious position. Instead of manipulation, let us seek to persuade. If we can stand firm in the truth of what we know and reach out at the same time, we might be able to dislodge a belief in the other person's mind that is keeping them from making change for themselves. We might be able to learn something about their values that demonstrates a conflict between the person they imagine themselves to be and the position that they're taking. Think about it. When's the last time that you changed your mind about something really important? Was it because someone bonked you over the head with their unassailable argument? No, not likely. But maybe it was because they listened to you and asked good questions. And the more you talked about your position, the less sense it made. Oh. Or maybe the person acknowledged your experience and then shared their own in an empathetic way. Or maybe they simply showed up in the truth of who they are. They didn't have to present an argument at all. They were just being authentically themselves, and that authenticity is irresistible. And that's how we have to show up. We have to believe that other people can change and that the conversations are worth it. It might take years. You may never get the satisfaction of seeing it for yourself. We may never know the influence we are having on people just by listening and loving them and showing up bravely in our truth with them. But we have to believe that it can make a difference. Our democracy depends on it. I want you to think about that wish you made, that prayer that you sent up for our democracy. Can you say it in just a few words, just enough to sum it up on a sticker? In a few moments, I'm going to give you a little time to write it on a sticker as neatly as you can. You can make it fancy if you want to, but you're not going to keep it. So make sure it's legible and that it represents your very best thought for democracy. You'll see the envelopes on the inside aisle. They have stickers as well as those dangerous permanent markers I told you about that we're being super, super careful with. Online friends, please type your best thought into the chat. Share it with the others who are online as you listen to the music. So now that you've written your wish on your sticker, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to give it to someone you don't know before Election Day. You could give it to someone here during coffee hour, a visitor perhaps, or someone from a different generation from you. Or you could practice democracy in the wild. You could give it to the barista at your coffee shop, or someone at the gym, or a neighbor passing on the street walking their dog, or someone in your class at school who you've never met. Online friends, you'll just have to strike up a conversation with a stranger. Sorry, no sticker, but you can do it. It has to be someone you don't know, though. It's an act of trust in others, in yourself. Do you trust that the people in your community care about democracy as much as you do? Do you see them as a person, and do you trust that they see you that way as well? What else will be shared in that moment when you share your wish with a fellow traveler? Authoritarianism depends on people giving up, deciding that there's no point in trying. When we accept the frame that all is lost, then we're right. Democracy depends on us taking risks, believing that what we do makes a difference. So take a risk this week. I'd like to invite the junior singers to come forward one more time with their beautiful song. Friends, I don't know how things are going to go on Tuesday. I can't reassure you that everything is going to turn out okay. Here's what I can tell you. Democracy is a daily practice. It isn't lost in a day. When you believe that you're beaten, you are. There's no them. There's only us. Let's behave like it. Our postlude, which means that after it's over, right? is in the teal hymnal 10:12. So many thanks to our junior singers for your gifts and for your leadership. Thank you, adults who helped out with the junior singers. Thank you, Tristan, as always, and thank you to Ruen-Chuan Ma, who gave his wonderful homily today. May I invite you to rise in body or in spirit, and let's close it out. Thank you, friends. Have a wonderful week.